farmer found babies in a field, but suddenly noticed a startling thing. Spring had started. It was morning time. The sun had not fully risen yet. The light of the sun was giving more beauty to this beautiful forest. William Taylor came to the farm with his wife Emily. This time was very suitable for work. "What a beautiful view, dear," said Emily, pointing to their fields in the woods. "Just as cute as you," William replied with a laugh. "Oh, William, you haven't lost your sense of humor yet," Emily laughed in response. "I think the most beautiful woman in the world is my wife," William said seriously. "I think it's time for us to get to work rather than listen to your jokes," Emily replied with a wink at William. "Your habit will also never end," retorted William. "Oh, which habit?" Emily looked at him questioningly. "Troubling your innocent husband for no reason," replied William innocently. They both laughed. Now the sun had risen completely. Breathing in this fresh air was also a blessing for them. They both lived in a nearby town. They had been married for 6 years, but they were childless. Despite many efforts and treatment, their children were not born. Emily used to be very worried, but William used to encourage her. He explained to Emily that if nature does not bless them with children, then they will have to agree. But sometimes when William went out for work, Emily felt very lonely and sad. She used to look at women of her age with their children with appreciative eyes. She missed her children very much. William was a farmer. He used to cultivate different crops. He also kept some animals to make Emily happy. He used to try to make Emily interested in all these activities. After some time they reached the fields. The weather had become more beautiful now. The fields were swaying with cool and fresh air. "I love bright spring sunshine in the field, and especially you," said William with a smile. "And I love you this time," Emily also smiled against the norm. After some time they got busy with work. They had to water the field. William got busy at work. Emily walked towards a clump of trees. She wanted to rest for a while. She had just reached the trees when suddenly she found 3 children lying on the ground. She screamed. "William, William," she cried. William ran towards her. When he got closer, he was surprised. The children were unconscious on the ground. They both looked at them in surprise. William went ahead and checked their pulse. They were all alive. "We should take them to our home," Emily said with a pounding heart. They did not understand what to do. William brought the car in no time. They both picked them up in the car and took them home. They had an idea that either these children were kidnapped and brought here, or else these children were abandoned. William and Emily tried hard to find their parents, but they could not succeed. Finally, they started raising them as their children. The eldest girl was 4 years old at that time. After that, there were 2 boys. One was 2 years old, while the youngest boy was about 1 year old. The children were very worried. The girl's name was Ellen. She was somewhat sensible. Ellen could tell a little about her father's identity, but she did not remember her parents properly. She could not tell about her past due to panic and fear. Gradually, the children mingled with William and Emily. Both boys considered William as their father and Emily as their mother. Ellen was also quite satisfied. Emily was often worried about her children, but now her life changed. She spent the whole day with the children. Emily raised them as her children. By 3 years, children are fully adjusted. William and Emily considered them a gift from nature, but sometimes they both thought that what could be the reason for making the children unconscious and throwing them in the forest, but they had no answer. There was a park in front of their house. Ellen often went there to play in the evening. Now she was 7 years old. It was a pleasant Sunday evening. Winter was at its peak, but the sun was shining with all its warmth. "Dad, both of my brothers are teasing me," Ellen said innocently to William. "Oh, they're just for teasing," William said with his usual sneer. They all laughed. "Why your brothers are bothering my daughter?" This time Emily asked while loving Ellen. "They asked me to take them to the park," Ellen replied in a low voice. At the same time, her 2 younger brothers came and grabbed her hand and started pulling her towards them. "Okay, my daughter, take care of them. I will come in a little while. I will bring this little son myself." "You 2 go and take care of yourself," Emily replied. She had to cook. Ellen went to the park with her younger brother, while Emily carried the youngest son in her arms. The youngest boy also started running. He was also reluctant to go to the park, but Emily started feeding him. They all laughed. Ellen went to the park with her younger brother. "How beautiful our life has become," said William, smiling at Emily. "Now don't say that our life is beautiful like me," Emily replied jokingly. "That's exactly what I was going to say. But how did you know that I would say that?" William asked with a laugh. "Because I already know many things," Emily retorted. "Oh, that's your imagination," William laughed. "Take care of your baby." "I'll cook," said Emily, handing her son to William. "Hey, this is our world," said William, taking his son in his hands. "Sometimes I'm so thankful to nature for the joys in our lives," Emily replied while loving her little son. He was carried by William in his lap. The boy was smiling. He was 1 year old when he met them, but now he was 4 years old. He considered Emily and William as his parents. "Okay, dear, you prepare the food and then we will go to the park. Ellen will be waiting for us with her brother," William replied. Emily went into the kitchen. She had just entered the kitchen when suddenly the sound of the fire was heard nearby. An unknown fear fell on her. She immediately returned to William. "That voice came from the park," Emily said, almost shouting. She was afraid that her children went to the park. Emily took his son from William while he ran towards the park. The park was not far from their house. Emily also ran towards the outer door. He had just entered the park when he saw a crowd of people. Ellen was present with his brother among them. She was very upset. William finds out from the people that some gangsters tried to kidnap Ellen and his younger brother. He was shot, due to which he died. This news was no less than a bomb for William. Ellen was now crying and William picked her and his son up and hurried home. Emily was also eagerly waiting for them. They were both worried. "Mom, Mom," Ellen cried and hugged Emily. She knew that Emily was not her real mom, but she called it her real mother. Emily hugged Ellen. "I think we should report to the police because one of the kidnappers who came to kidnap Ellen is dead," said Emily, expressing her thoughts. Her heart was pounding due to fear. "We have to wonder if this is the right thing to do. I wonder why some people wanted to kidnap our children, and even more wonder who fired and chased away the kidnappers, because of which our children, now we have them," said William, hugging all the children. He felt Ellen's heart pounding. He had just finished talking when there was a knock at the door. William ran towards the door with a beating heart, but he was sure that the kidnappers would have escaped from there now. At the door, he found a very polite and well-dressed person. "Are my children okay?" the man asked in a confident tone. William was looking at him in surprise, but he was sure that this person would not harm them. "Who are you?" asked William, looking at him questioningly. "My name is Jason. Ellen is my daughter," the man politely replied. "Really?" asked William. He was just standing at the door. At the same time, Ellen came to the door and saw Jason with confused eyes. "Ellen, my doll," Jason called her loudly. Ellen looked at Jason carefully once again and ran towards Jason. "Dad," she ran and hugged Jason. Emily had also reached there. Both of them were surprised to see this whole scene. Jason hugged all his children. There were tears in his eyes. William brought them all into the room. He was curious about Jason. He had seen that Jason was the father of these children. He remained silent and watched Jason talk to his children. These were very emotional moments. "I am your father, Ellen," Jason said while kissing Ellen. He had all the children sitting on his lap. William and Emily were watching this emotional scene in silence. "I'm grateful to both of you for taking care of my children. I know everything," Jason said, looking gratefully at William and Emily. "There is no such thing. It was our duty. We took care of them as our children," replied William generously. He understood that Jason is the father of all these children. He looked at his face. His face was very similar to Ellen. "Dad, why you left me, and where is my mother?" Ellen asked many questions. "Listen, Ellen, I don't have much time. It's a long story, but I want to tell a lot," he replied, teary eyes. "Ellen, I loved your mother, and I had a love marriage. We loved each other very much. We secretly married. Your mother's father, your grandfather, was a cruel man. He could never accept me, so we had to do it. His family was very rich and he could never accept me." He stopped for a while. William saw his whole body trembling. Emily brought water for him. He took a few sips down his throat and started talking again. "We moved to another city far away from this cruel world, but one day they traced us. I had a pistol. When they attacked our home, your mother shot herself in front of them out of fear. I picked you and my sons up and ran away with great difficulty. You were 4 years old in those days." They saw tears in his eyes. "We lived in the city, which is very far from this town. After this incident, I made a group of people. We killed them selectively. In those days, the police and all institutions were looking for us. Your grandfather was a political and powerful person. I could not resist these people for long. I had to hide, but I couldn't take the risk of keeping you with me, so I reached into the town. Those people were following us. There were only 5 men in my group." He was trembling while talking. He took a deep breath and then continued. "I made you all unconscious and put you in the fields. I was sure that the good people will take you and you will be saved from the oppressors. They were all thirsty for our blood, but I was not unaware of you." He stopped to take a breath. "I was with you all the time, but I did not meet you people so that they would not trace you." He paused for a while and then said, Ellen was listening to her father with full attention. She was still young, but she had become quite wise. "The police can come here any time. The first time, I didn't care about the police. I have been monitoring you for a long time. Those thugs wanted to kidnap and kill you and my son on the order of your grandfather. But I was not oblivious. I fired at them together with my group. I was right. I can't forget the moment when your mother committed suicide by shooting herself to escape from those oppressors. And listen, this is the last murder of my life. I'm going to make an arrest. But don't worry. My companions will be with you like a shadow and will protect you," he explained, looking at Ellen with his pale blue eyes. "Jason, I can feel your pain. But I am also surprised that if your father-in-law had accepted you, the whole problem would have ended," William said sadly. "It's a pity. He was a very high-class person. I had no status in front of him. When he found out that I had secretly married his daughter, he wanted to kill us all," replied Jason, taking a deep breath. Once again, he thanked William and Emily. They were silently listening to Jason's sad story with tears in their eyes. "This world is only for powerful people, Mr. William Taylor. True lovers are trampled here. Here you have to fight for your rights. You have to take away your rights by force," he said, taking William's name. William was looking at him in surprise. "Listen, Ellen, this is some money for you." He gave her a check. He lovingly placed his hand on her head. The first time, she realized her father's love. "You have met me after a long time. Please don't leave me again." She cried and saw that his father also had tears in his eyes. "My doll, this is only a matter of days. I will be released soon. My people will rescue me, and I will come to you and my sons forever. You are a brave girl," he replied, once again loving his children in turn. He knew that the police will arrive in a few moments. "I'll take care of them," William said, smiling even though there were tears in his eyes. "There are good people like you in this bad world, Mr. William," said Jason, hugging William. At that moment, the police came in. They handcuffed Jason. "I will be back soon, Ellen. Your mother used to make mutton very nicely. Now I will eat it cooked with your own hands. I hope you will do well too," he winked at her. The police had now handcuffed Jason and taken him away. William was watching it all. He was carrying Ellen. Jason looked at Ellen and his sons. The whole scene was blurry because of tears, but due to William, his spirit was high. William started thinking about how great the love of a father is. He even handcuffs for the sake of his daughter, and even after he was arrested, he tried to make his daughter laugh. Although William had tears in his eyes, he was smiling. He had no children, but he had felt the love of a father for his children.